Welcome back, everyone. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has resolved to conduct a post-election review of the 2023 general elections in line with its usual practice over the last years. This was contained in a statement that was signed by the INEC National Commissioner on Information and Voter Education, Mr. Festus Okoye, one of those that permanently kept mute since the conduct of the election. He released that statement yesterday and says that this is their usual way of doing an appraisal of the election. And tonight we'll be dissecting what this appraisal really is, and for some of those who have monitored the process. It would have been interesting to hear from INEC directly to exactly know the timing and the process of this appraisal. But tonight, I'm being joined by the Executive Director of, say that again?
Chairman,
Partners for Electoral Reforms, and a member of the Board of Yaga Africa, Mr. Nwagwu. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. So, I mean, I'm sure when we were having a pre-chat, you said this is nothing new about this appraisal. But what do you make of it? Give us your insight into it.
Well, I think that it's important that after a very huge, elaborate task like the general election, that there is need for stock taking, there is need for introspection, and there is also need for some kind of audit. You were talking in your prefacing, you were talking about the judicial oversight and reviews that are going on. And like I told you when we were talking, people who win elections don't approach the court. It's losers who go to court, actually. So that is they are challenging the fact that they may or could have won the election. But this is an administrative, introspective look by the institution that manages election. And I was going to come here, like I said, with the 2011, 2015, no, 2007, 2015, 2011, 2015, 2019 reports. Those reports are products of this engagement, these reviews. So INEC is able to say, pre-election, how did we do with voter registration? How did we perform with logistics issues? How did we perform with voting and accreditation? How did we do with collation of results? And all of those things. And then they are able to also bring those who manage the election at subnational level. The statement that we all have seen talks about the fact that they are going to have this retreat, if you like, with both the ad hoc staff that manage the elections, the resident electoral commissioners, electoral officers, and that will be the first level engagement. And after that, they will then broaden it to other stakeholders. And I think, like I said, it's a ritual really for the Independent National Electoral Commission. And when we now say they are trying to, they have said to, it's supposed to be something that yes, they should. It is
part of their internal administrative process. But don't forget that this is not only internal. It is also, they have external engagement. Actually, they will start with a retreat on the 5th of July.
After they have done
the 4th of July, and end with the Commission's retreat on the 5th of August.
Yes.
So there is the Rex we meet on the 4th of July.
Yes.
Then the whole exercise will take about a month. In fact, a month exactly.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing will end with a retreat on the 5th of August. Now, they will do the national level, they will do the state level, and they will do with local government and heads of departments across the level, and presiding officers, coalition and returning officers. But there will be an external engagement, which will involve the stakeholders like political parties, security agencies, election observers, the media and service providers such as transporters, and those who facilitated the movement of personnel and materials for the election. So there is the external part, and there is the internal part. But in all, you would explain that this is an administrative process. But one thing is critical here, the timing. Don't you think there's something?
I don't think there's anything. Indeed, they have stalled, if you ask me.
So that's the question.
If you ask me, Dave, and the reason is also part of what you raised. They wanted all the court processes to get to some point, so that they are then able to speak freely in those.
But the court cases wouldn't have ended.
No, they may not.
By the 4th of July.
No, they may not have ended, but they will have substantially they progress to the point where INEC will no longer be the. You are supposed to, in many cases, state resident electoral commissioners are being subpoenaed, they are being asked to present documents. I think majorly most of all of those things have.
I don't think there's anything wrong in an appraiser or a post-mortem or an assessment.
Yes.
So, but I'm just asking my question based on the position of the law. If, for example, the courts are asking questions on how the IRF worked or did not work, how the beavers worked or did not work, whether or not there are clearly printed results or not. These are issues that are being determined in the courtroom as we speak. But if INEC goes ahead to do a post-mortem, officer this or officer that, why didn't you upload the result, or why did you upload the result, or you are giving direct questions to what is being done, which some people will say it's subjudicial.
No, I don't agree with you. Like I said, the administrative...
So it's a question I'm asking.
Yeah, so I said the administrative engagement with the processes of the election, in my view, and my humble view, if you like to qualify that, is that it's important for INEC to put the mirror before itself and say, how did we do?
Which is not a wrong thing.
No, it has nothing to do with the judicial. It does not affect, because for instance, the people who approach the court, like I told you, are just a section of those who, for instance, observers are not in court. They have no reason to be.
But political parties are going to be part of the engagement.
No, political parties who are in court are not the ones who are the ones who feel shortchanged.
Yeah, but I'm saying the engagement of INEC,
you have 18 political parties.
Yes.
All those 18 political parties are not in court. Okay? And there is an umbrella organization for political parties. That, what do you call them now?
IPAC.
IPAC as an organization is not in court. They will be invited by INEC as IPAC. Ordinarily, INEC does not invite individual political parties. It will be that umbrella organization of the political parties and their leadership that will come for this engagement. And it's a one-off thing. It's simply, if Shehu can be part of that conversation, I can be, any other person can be, who INEC thinks will add value. In fact, if you read that statement, they are already asking for stakeholders to make recommendations which they can take along towards the end of that statement if you go to it. So I don't in any way think that it invades in any material particular on judicial inquisition on the election, because, like I said, IPAC is not in court. It is some political parties who, and I told you, winners don't go to court. It is people who lost election that are challenging the result. It does not affect anything in terms of what INEC can introspect on and fish out things that can help them improve, future elections. Those reports that I talk about is the same process. It has gone on, and it goes on almost at the same time that this is coming. It doesn't come after the court, all the court cases.
Do you think that it will have any impact on the cases that are going on presently?
I have answered you, Shehu. I don't think it will have any impact, because the people who are in court will have had their materials, the issues for which they are going to. If INEC is required to go to court, INEC will go to court and present. INEC is not in court. INEC is dragged to court. I don't know if you understand. It is INEC that is being dragged to court to come. INEC is not defending anything. It is you who said they didn't do well that has the burden to prove that they did not do well. They have said, we have organized this election to the best of our ability, according to the law, according to the guidelines, according to the manuals. The court is interrogating that. But it does not stop them from looking at how did we fare with issues around logistics, how did we fare with the issue of voter registration, how did we fare with the issue of administration of the election in terms of vendor INEC relationship. Did the marine transport workers, did they effectively, were there issues in terms of even payment? You remember the cashless policy thing, you remember the fuel issues. How did it affect you? What can we do better next time to be able to get this out?
You look like Section 65 of the new Section 65 compared to Section 68 of the Electoral Law. And these are some of those issues that have come in previous engagement with INEC that have led to the review of the law and led to the signing or the passage of the Electoral Act 2022. And a lot of people will say this kind of engagement also will be necessary if it will have any effect that could lead to any change in our electoral law. But from your own point of view, as INEC is preparing, because you are one person that sat through the processes, you had several engagement in and outside of Nigeria on what INEC should do and what they must do. But in a matter of introspection, let's help INEC before their stakeholders meeting begin. If there are critical areas that they need to look into, which areas would these be?
I think, for instance, for me, is the fact that the INEC has to be a bit forward-looking in terms of challenges, what challenges that could, so that they don't hoist, the regime of excuses that we see, for instance, with the issue of these perennial logistics challenges. Is perennial. No cure for it. But the interventions that came in 2023 was meant to have cushioned the issue of why is logistics an issue. Logistics affects opening of polls. If polls don't open on time, it affects, you now have to elongate the hours of participation. And sometimes people get, wary of all of that, and then it could lead to reduction in the number of people who vote. So you have to deal with these logistics challenges. Unforeseen circumstances like what will happen to the issue of cash, which became a problem in 2023. I didn't see the reason why INEC could not have, since this law has already said that they should have their money 1 year before.
So, this is one of the issues also that was raised, which made them to get their money early enough. They made that
yes, but what happened is that sometimes these monies are not released, even when the law says so. And being territorial, as you know, government officials are sometimes, they protect each other in terms of exposing. And remember, we kept saying, if they had the money early, perhaps the issue of that unfortunate coloring of the naira may not have come up. The issue of fuel scarcity, the issue of banditry and insecurity that has escalated towards the 2023.
What about human factors? Human factors within INEC?
No, of course, there are, of course, issues around subterfuge, internal subterfuge, and the rest of them, which could have happened. But what is interesting is that this law that you are quoting has penalty sanctions for dereliction of duties. If an INEC official refuses to upload results, for instance, this law says he can go to jail, and pay a fine, but he's not going to go to court, to jail until somebody makes a report. So that's why the issue of the Electoral Offenses Commission has also been raised. Yes, somebody has to make a report. But even at that, you don't need an offenses report if you feel that an INEC official should have done something and he didn't do it. In any case, there are those who argue that you don't even need a special person to do that. That naturally, the power of the police in Nigeria they have powers to prosecute just any crime in the country. You could have just said you have said so. Why are you saying some people have said? Between the two of us, I have argued that the police, the law says that they have responsibility to enforce all laws. So this thing about electoral offenses is important for effectiveness and all of that, but it does not outsource the responsibility. So, because the question is that the laws are there, the punishments are there, but what is going on? Hold on. Why do you have a party agent? If sometimes people don't understand. You have a party agent to defend your interests in the polling unit. You understand? So if results are not uploaded, for instance, and you made a point about that, and the presiding officer could not sufficiently give you, you make a note of it. In polling unit so and so and so, I approached this man, he derelicted on his duty, but the big challenge is that party agency is a transactional one in Nigeria. The people who do party agents in party A in the morning can become party agent for party B in the evening, and immediately the election is over, they walk away.
Maybe INEC will also need to look into, especially what happened in Adamawa, and perhaps think of a better administrative ways, because the roles of a rec and who announces the result is very clear. We don't know what has happened to the rec in Adamawa. We understand that it was being invited by the police.
The chief returning officer for the country. There is a chief returning officer for the country.
For the presidential election.
No, for the country. Is the chief returning officer for the country. So if he says, Sheung, you go to Imo as returning officer, the power you're exercising is his own, is his power. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So those returning officers that have been appointed exercise the power of the chief returning officer of the country. So those resident electoral commissioners have not challenged this over time. That is a place for reform.
Yeah.
That is an opening for conversation about reform. Whether the chief, because what happened was that under Professor Jega, Professor Jega was the one announcing the federal, but there were issues of integrity within INEC at that time, which led to the outsourcing of that power to academics. Now, we have retained that process in spite of the challenges that we have seen with it.
And now it's rearing its head again. And we've seen in the case in, was it Akwa Ibom now, with when Mike Igini was wrecked, and that case had gone to court.
Yes.
But on the final note, Mr. Nwagwu.
Final already.
Now time flies. On the final note, I mean, if INEC is looking in the mirror and they're trying to do some introspection, because we've not really had an explanation on IREF, which was supposed to be a game changer. We saw what happened in Ekiti. We saw what happened in Osun. There hasn't been any explanation as to what technically or technologically or digitally or internet-wise.
That explanation is important to assuage, but it is not contingent on understanding if Sheung writes an examination and the result of that exam is marked. I mean, that exam is marked right where you are. The result is given to you. The process of examination is over when you have a result. So if it is not pasted, if the result is not pasted or pasted,
you can call for the result.
You can call for it, but already you have the result.
But when you have told me that when your result, we will send it to your email.
No, but it was marked in your presence. No, it was marked in your presence.
Yeah.
Because the polling unit is the center of elections. And in that place, results are announced in the polling unit.
Yeah.
That result is entered into Form EC8A and given to a party agent and given to a security man before it is uploaded. So parties already have
custody
of these results. INEC is only giving you an audit system, providing for you as a party an audit system to say if what we have given to you here at the polling unit, you are not satisfied with it, we have somewhere else you can also go to. But you now leave the man who has responsibility to have a result, and you are talking about the auditor. I mean, there's something fundamentally not sitting well on that argument.
There needs to be a robust conversation on what happened in 2023 and how we can make it better.
Here.
Thank you so much. Nwagwu, we call him Easy, Chief. Thank you so much indeed for your time. Chairman, Partners for Electoral Reforms, and a member of the board of Yaga Africa. Thank you so much indeed.